Oh, I know that sound. It's time for the Beer News Report. Hi, and welcome to the Beer News Report. Cheers. I want to congratulate the state of Vermont as they have passed through the peak of this coronavirus. They're on their way down. All right, Vermont. Now, I'm just hoping that the people who have vacationed in the south to avoid the Vermont winters, I hope when they come back, they don't reinfect Vermont, because I got a sister and brother right now in Florida. They're planning on going back to Vermont, but they usually drive, and the hotels along the freeways or highways, they're all closed because of the coronavirus, so they can't make it. The drive's too hard. Worst comes to worst, they're just going to fly there. But in any case, Vermont, congratulations. You made it over the hump. Here's to a quick decline in cases. Cheers. All right, I also want to thank my friends that were watching and they gave me feedback. Look at this mic. This is from my friend Lloyd. He saw my show, and there were a couple of comments that the sound quality dropped off, especially when I wasn't doing the charts. And I said that's because when I was doing the charts, I had my computer close to me while I was playing around with the charts. And when I'm not doing the charts, I'm kind of sitting back, and the distance in the mic is different. So he gave me a mic to play with, to test with, to see if I like it. And Lloyd, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and please keep watching. All right. Also, I had a couple friends that way back when I was a kid, and they said, hey, I saw your gaming collection, and I noticed that they didn't see Risk in my gaming collection, because we used to play Risk all the time. So I want to prove to them that I do, in fact, have Risk. I have several versions. So this one is combined Risk. So it's Risk and Castle Risk. So one side of the board is Risk. The other side of the board is Castle Risk. So it's kind of fun. The next one is Risk Godstorm. Which is cool about this one is when you die, you actually kind of go into like a purgatory. And if you capture altars down there, you can float back up and be reincarnated to fight again. Although if you have wars in purgatory, once you die, you're definitely dead. Kind of interesting take on Risk. The next one is Risk 2210. So on this one, you can go to the moon and capture the moon. You have sea countries, cities in the sea that you can attack. You have nuclear bombs. This one's probably my favorite. It has a lot of twist in it. So that's Risk 2210. And finally, this isn't the only Risk out there, but this is the only one I have, is Star Wars Risk. And I kind of got this on a fluke. It's really a two-player game. One side's the Imperial forces, the other side are the Jedis. And it's okay. If anything, if you have to get one, get Risk 2210. That's better. Or if you have a group of friends that you always play with, get Risk Legacy. I have a friend that has that. We've been playing. That's a lot of fun. But so Kevin or Kendall, if you're ever in the area, you want to play some Risk, just give me a call. I'll have beers in the fridge. Come on over. Cheers. Now, along the lines of gaming, I know you've been stuck at home, you've been bored, and probably just zoning out watching TV. So I've been watching a lot of movies. I'm sure everyone has. And one of them watched was Pawn Sacrifice. This is the chess championship in 1972 between Russia's Spassky and United States Fischer. Bobby Fischer against Boris Spassky. Great movie, especially the last 30 minutes. That's when Bobby has to come back. I don't want to ruin the movie, but anyways, you should know by now, Bobby wins. Any case, Game 6 was awesome, and I must have watched it like 5 or 6 times. No, more than that, a dozen times. But I wanted to see the actual game, so I went on the internet, and I found this one site. It's Agamator's chess channel, and it's titled Applause Game 6, Boris Spassky and Bobby Fischer. I have the link listed below, but it's great because he kind of goes over all the details of why you would do this move and what was the comeback move and what error Spassky made. And the thing is, when you watch a television show like that, you kind of want to play chess. So I got on my computer and went on the internet and played I'll put the link below, but it's a solitary channel, but you can play chess there. And I got my ass kicked. The computer was, even on the easy level, I was getting destroyed. I'm like, what the heck? I didn't realize I was that bad of a player. And so I started taking tutorials on chess, and I found another one. So if you want to up your game, there's this tutorial on the internet. I'll have the link below. It's called Chess Talk by Jeetendra Advani. And like one of my favorites is the 24 tactics in chess. I didn't even know there was 24. But he goes through pinning and skewering and all types of tactics in chess. And it'll help you improve your game. So I highly recommend it. All these are really fun. Of course, you got to like chess. If you don't like chess, then none of this is any good. But anyways, here's the better chess playing. Cheers. Now, before I get started with the winning lottery, I want to talk about something that I call light at the end of the tunnel. I'm the president of our neighborhood association. We have about 1,500 homes, and we do a lot of fundraising, and we get government grants to do projects in our neighborhood to make the neighborhood a better place to live. So I'm always looking of ways to invest our money because we have limited funds, to get the most out of our funds. And usually that's a bank CD paying less than 1%. Actually, it's probably paying like 0.1%. So it's terrible. But I was doing some household chores. I was listening to music on Spotify, and this ad came up from Goldman Sachs about their Marcus account. It's a 7-month CD that pays 1.75%. No, wait, 1.7%. And it's like, that can't be right. So I went online and checked out Goldman Sachs. It's true. It's just called this Marcus account. You get this CD, and if you don't want to wait the 7 months, you can pull the money out. There's no penalty. You get to keep the interest. I thought, wow, that's awesome. So I thought, is my bank doing that? So I checked on it. No. And I checked other banks like Wells Fargo. Well, I checked Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and they all have the same rates. The only one that competes with them is Citibank, and that has 1.8%. So I thought to myself, now, how can these two banks, be paying like 20 times more than what the other banks are paying? They must be losing money. And Citibank and Goldman Sachs, they're the big guys. They don't lose money. So then I thought, okay, let's kind of picture what they're doing. So let's say they get 1 million people to get into this product, this Marcus product, and that's not far off. We are over 350 million people in the United States. And let's say that each one of them deposits $1,000, and the minimum is $500, so $1,000 is not that far off. In fact, I probably think people would put more than $1,000 in. Anyways, the math works out that that's $1 billion. So is Goldman Sachs and Citibank really going to put $1 billion into the stock market? I thought with the coronavirus and mom and pop shops and restaurants all dying off, I thought the stock market was tanking. So I said, all right, let's check it out. I looked. Sure enough, the stock market's doing good. In fact, I'm going to show you, and listed below, you'll see the graph of the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones Index, and the S&P 500. And what you see is I marked off the top and bottom, and I have a channel showing you the growth. And they've actually been growing by 20%. So here, check this out, and have a beer while you're watching this, and I'll come back after the video. So as you can see, this is the 6-month chart for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It reached its peak in February at about 30,000, then bottomed out to about just above 18,000 in March, mid-March. And as you can see, it has gone up. It's almost recovered 50%. We're right around 24,000. So it does look like the Dow Jones is making a recovery. Let's look at the NASDAQ. So this is the NASDAQ. Just like the Dow Jones, it reached its peak in February, almost at 10,000, then bottomed out in March at around 6,500, and it has gone up. It's about 8,200. So again, this has gone up about 50%. Let's look now at the S&P 500. Finally, this is the S&P 500. Again, it peaks, just like the others, in February at 3,400. Bottoms out in March at 2,200, and it's gone up pretty much 50% to 2,800. So all three markets are on the rebound. Back to the show. Welcome back. So think about it. If you're borrowing money at 1.7 or 1.8% on $1 billion, that means you're going to pay out over the year $17 million or $18 million. But if you're making 10 or 20% growth, that means you're going to get 100 to 200 million back. So who wouldn't do that? I think that Goldman Sachs and Citibank are doing a cash grab, getting as much cash as they can, and they're going to dump it into the market and get on this before everyone else does, so they get the most growth out of their funds. So Goldman Sachs, Citibank, cheers to quick thinking. I'm definitely starting to invest more now into the stock market. Let's all, go get to the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. Cheers. Now, the main topic of my show is what happens if you win the lottery? What should you do? And there's two types of payout. There's a lump sum payout, and then there's the 30-year payout. It's an annuity that the state gives you. So what are the pros and cons of each method? Which one should you do? So let's assume that the lottery that you win is $100 million. What's the amount that you will actually get? And it's really easy to find out. I went online and there's these calculators, and you can pick any one you want. They're all pretty much the same. But here I'm going to show you what the calculation is on $100 million. So check this out. So this is the Powerball Mega Millions calculator. We'll put in 100 million and then tell it to calculate. And as you can see, if you take the lump sum, you get 69 million, but then after taxes, you get about 45 million. Whereas on the 30-year payout, you'll get 3.3 million, but after taxes, it's roughly 2 million. All right, back to the show. Okay, so as you just saw, that if you take the lump sum payout, you actually get less than half of what the winnings were. It's still tens of millions of dollars. And if you think about it, one of the benefits of taking the lump sum is that you get a low tax rate. Right now, the tax rates are probably the lowest they're ever going to be. And if you're good at investing in stock, you know how to do it, or you know someone who does, then you might be able to keep up with the 5% annuity that the state gives if you do the 30-year plan. But if you don't really care about that, because really, you're going to switch your focus now. Now that you're rich, you don't have to do wealth creation. You have to do wealth preservation. So wealth creation is what we're all doing right now. We're putting our money in the stock market. We're hoping it makes more money, so then when we retire, we can take that money and still live very comfortably and get the things that we like. But wealth preservation is, hey, I've got this money. I don't want to lose it. So you hopefully find somebody that a financial advisor that has fiduciary experience, so that they will treat you and your money the correct way. And normally that means that they're going to put your money in bonds. And I looked at the rates, and with this coronavirus, the Fed cut the rates down to 0, which means that you probably are going to get like 1% on a 10-year bond. Hopefully you can get that. You don't want to go out 30 years. That's a little far. But so for every 10 million that you put in that 10-year bond, you're going to get 100,000 back. So it's really you have to calculate what you need to live, what you need to get by. So if you've got, 40 million and 400,000 is something you can live off, which I hope that is something that you can live off of, then that's fine. And because the key is you don't spend the principal, you live off the interest. And you just save that principal and let it, that's where the saying comes, have your money work for you. So your money is building the income, and you live off that income, and you never touch the money. All right. So the funny thing is, first off, here's the wealth preservation. Cheers. But I did look online. Excuse me. And there's this website called the National the National Endowment for Financial Education, or NEFE, N-E-F-E. And they said that not all, but 70% of lottery winners will go broke. They'll spend all their money and they'll go broke. They don't really give a time frame, but they say 70% of all lottery winners go broke. And I'm assuming they mean the lump sum winners, which is the majority. Most people will take the lump sum. And then I checked around and I found out that they haven't done any real research on this. It's more or less just them throwing out a number. But every time I go to a website and it says, yes, 70% of winners will go broke, they always refer back to this Nephi site. So they win by popular vote, but I'm just going to assume that more than 50% of the people who get a lottery winning will go broke. That's just seems the way it is. And I think the reason that they go broke is that they're not used to having that much money. And they spend it, they buy a new house, they buy new cars, they get new clothes, they give it to people, hopefully they give some to charity, but I think they're just not used to it. Think of all the young sports athletes, pro athletes that make tons and tons of money and they still end up going broke. I've even seen this with rock stars and artists, music artists. The local one here was MC Hammer back in the 90s. And he was right out of the Bay Area. He was huge. He was a big rap star, making tons of money. And he ended up losing it all. And now he's a preacher at a church. And I know this because I used to work at a building next to his church. And I always wanted to go in and just see him do a mask. I thought it'd be really cool, but I never did. I regret that. That's one of the regrets I have. But I think having a MC Hammer as your preacher would be hella cool. So here's to you. Keep your money safe. MC Hammer, I hope you're doing great. All right, let's look at the 30-year plan. So first off, again, with the 30-year plan, you do get the $100 million. And it's spread over 30 years, so that's roughly $3.3 million a year. And with taxes right now, you're going to get about $2 million. So $2 million for 30 years, you should be able to live off that. Now, you again, it's all about a lifestyle, and you want to make sure that you're doing wealth preservation. You still have to do wealth preservation, even though you got this income coming for 30 years. So be careful when someone comes up to you, they're really great, and they go, "Hey, you won $100 million. Can you give me $5 million?" You're like, "No, I only get $2 million a year. So obviously, I'm not going to give you more than me. So I'll give you like 10 grand. That's it." You can really shoot them down. That's, gives you time to build up some skin, because tons of people are going to come up to you and ask you for money, right? Charities and friends and family. And it's going to be hard to say no to them, especially off in the beginning. So this way you kind of can ease into it. And the other thing is that when you got 30 years, you can develop your skills on investing. You can now learn what stocks are good and how you do stocks. If you want to go that route, again, I recommend that you do bonds, because we're doing wealth preservation. We don't want to lose any money. Now, the downside is, most likely, the way our economy is going and whether there's a Democrat or Republican in office as president, I think taxes are going to go up. I just don't see how we can get around it in the future. The way our services are being cut and stuff, there's going to be a point where, hey, we're going to have to raise taxes. We're spending so much money. So that's the downside. The other one is, how old are you? If we take, if we act like an actuarial and we look at the average age is roughly 80 for the United States. So if you're 50, you're barely going to make the 30 years, and then, supposedly you die at 80, right? Because that's the average age. So maybe if you're 50 and above, you go for the lump sum, But then there's a downside to it. Let's say you're 20 and you take the 30-year plan, right? And for 30 years, you're partying, you're having a great time, you're just living off the cash. And on year 31, you're broke, right? And you're like, how did I spend all that money? Where did it all go? Now what do I do? It's going to be really hard to get a job, because for 30 years, you've been doing nothing. You're 50 years old. There's all these young people coming in now with skills, and your skills are 30 years old. So you're probably going to be flipping burgers at McDonald's. I don't see, you're definitely not going to be an engineer or a computer scientist, unless you've stayed in school, if that's your thing, and you decided to keep your skills honed. Then yeah, then you're fine. But if you just kind of sat back, relaxed, and for 30 years traveled the world, maybe you're going to be a writer then, because you've traveled the world and you've seen things. That might be an option. But if you're stuck after 30 years and you have no skills and you've just been partying, well, I hope you like domestic beers, because you're going to be on a low budget. Cheers. Well, I hope you've learned something today. No matter how that pot of gold lands in your lap, I hope you don't change your lifestyle in a bad way. most likely what happens is you go back to your original lifestyle. And that's actually called the law of averages. Basically what it means is you'll have these up and downs, but over the long run, you'll have this average of how you live your life. And it works with a lot of things. Look at the stock market. We have that's a bull market's going up, bear market's coming down. But on average, it goes about 10%. That's the law of averages. And your life's the same way. You'll have these ups where, hey, I got a great job and all this, and you have these downs and, oh my God, all this bad stuff happened. But on average, I'm hoping your lifestyle goes up and things are going good. That's how casinos make their money, right? And if you ever watch the movie Casino, right, that one Japanese guy comes in and he cleans them up and they fake that they had problems with the plane. They keep him in the casino and he's playing money. As long as you're playing money, the odds are for the house. The longer you play, the more likely the house will win. And again, that's the law of averages. You may have a winning streak, but as long as the house keeps you playing, eventually you have a losing streak and they get their money back. So, well, as you can see, I'm at the end of my beer, so that means we're at the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, there's a subscribe button. Click on that, and YouTube will tell you when I put out a new show. I hope... I'm still working on getting these t-shirts out there so that people can see them and buy them if they want. And remember to keep your beer cold and your interest hot. Cheers.